back to the Wellness Wisdom podcast. This is where we explore practical ways to cultivate health, happiness, and harmony in your life. I'm Adriana, and today my co-host, naturopath and author, Terry Beresford, and I will be diving into something so many of us struggle with, feeling overwhelmed and out of balance. Here to that. That's one thing that I do struggle with as well. So have you ever felt like there just aren't enough hours in the day? That no matter how much you do, there's always more on your plate. Maybe your mind feels cluttered, your body exhausted, and your to-do list never ending. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, overwhelm is something I definitely see a lot of in my clinic day to day. So in today's episode, we'll explore what causes overwhelm, how it impacts our well-being, and most importantly, how we can create more balance in our daily lives. So we'll be talking about some simple mind shifts, some practical strategies, and self-care tools that'll help you feel more in control, calm, and energized. So whether you're listening on your morning walk, during your commute, or while unwinding at home, take a deep breath and let's get started.
Absolutely. And I think that we all know what overwhelm is, but let's just tell our listeners if they've experienced this sort of overwhelm at any point in time. So if you know that feeling, when it seems like everything is piling on top of you and you just can't keep up. You get frustrated, and it's not just a mental thing either. It either shows up physically, like when your body feels tense, or even when you get headaches. That's a clue as well there. Or if you're just feeling completely drained, no matter how much rest you get. Now, I know a lot of people I know sort of feel drained when it's humid, but it's more than that. It's a lot more than that, and it can make you feel foggy and anxious. And even things like you're forgetting things and you're sort of wondering, where did I put something? And you sort of start going into this loop, being able to, but not being able to do anything at all. What do you say about that, Terry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that, that feeling when you sit down and that thing just isn't working on your computer and you just have that moment when you feel like you could just burst into tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's when you know that you're overwhelmed and it's time to maybe step back and just take a walk or just regroup. I think the thing is that in today's society, we've got so many things that we have to do that it's impossible for people to not get overwhelmed at some point. So I think it's important that we understand maybe what things we can do to help it. I mean, some of the causes I think why we do get overwhelmed is because we become overcommitted and unrealistic about what we can actually do in a day.
Yes.
And there's also just so much, information, and more than just information, I think there's just so many different ways to communicate. I mean, I struggle. I get people contacting me via normal messages. Then you've got WhatsApp. Then you've got Facebook Messenger. Then you've got Signal. Then you've got emails. Then you've got phone calls. You could have like 10 different ways that people are contacting you.
Yes.
And all that information is just coming at you. And we've only got, like the computer, so much RAM in our head to be able to deal with those things. So then we have like poor time management where, in Sydney, for instance, I think you've got to factor in traffic.
Oh, and even more so today, Terry, absolutely.
Yeah. And more importantly than that is we don't put in our diary things like self-care. Like today I'm going to take, 20 minutes out to have a cup of tea or, to go for a walk. So, and I think the biggest problem with society is that we're not taught that. So if we just go back to the design of our nervous system. So the original design of our nervous system was for short bursts of, running away from the grizzly bear or whatever, which would put us in fight or flight. And when we're in that fight or flight, what we're doing is the glucose is all coming from our internal organs and it's being mobilized to the external. So that's our sympathetic nervous system. And that's when our adrenaline's going to be up and our cortisol's going to be up. Okay. We weren't designed to be running a marathon 10 hours a day to be in that sympathetic nervous system. So the way that we're living our lives now is really so unrealistic for our poor physiology. So it's no wonder that we're all, dealing with that overwhelm and burnout regularly.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think too that we all think it's normal. Like what we are going at a million miles an hour. We think it's normal having those notifications on your phone. And some people don't even turn them off at night. So there's this, ping, ping, ping happening at
Yeah,
night.
exactly. And then your nervous system's going bang, bang, bang all the
Bang, bang,
time, and
bang.
it's on it's on high alert, and that it
Yeah.
does that though. I mean, I noticed that. Do you notice that yourself?
I,
And
I noticed it, and can I just tell you a little story? One of the things that, as I mentioned last time, we've got a new dog, and we're trying to pick up on clues as when he is on high alert and not high alert, and little things like him just sitting under my table and me shuffling my feet. He's on high alert, and so his system is going up and down. We're no different when the ping happens, or when all of a sudden you hear a loud bang of a car going down the street and you're going, and when you're going a million miles an hour and you think this is normal, you sort of think, well, there's nothing else I can do. But there is balance, and and balance is something that often is easier than said than done. But so many people think balancing means doing everything perfectly, and that's
no,
just not the case.
no, it's
It's
the
not at
opposite.
all.
It's the opposite. It's like, I think, letting go of perfection, realizing that we're not perfect. And if something doesn't work, or if you don't get it done today, then don't beat yourself up about it. And I think
Yeah,
that, society of that perfectionism, people looking beautiful, it's not real.
it's not real, no.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a fly
And
here.
that's right. No, but it's knowing when to give a little more attention to one thing and let go of another. And I think that's the hard part, is because I think as women we probably struggle with this a lot more, and
Yes.
that's because we are the home person, we are
The
the carer, we're the
nurturer.
one, the nurturer. Yeah, and so we find it a lot harder. But when we know what we can let go of and what we want to, sort of give time to, those little shifts make a big difference. And then, you're not aiming for perfection. You're just trying to keep things being calm and, focusing on what's important.
Yeah, I guess the issue for a lot of women is they're usually the caregiver of most of the children for the, like, not always, as we know,
Yeah.
but it does mostly still fall on the woman. So,
Yeah.
how do women deal with that, with, if you've got little kids and running around? And I think that's another, big issue that women have to deal with, and trying to manage all of these things can truly be a big issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, I think we should probably cover some strategies to reduce that overwhelm and to have that balance. And first off, it all starts with a mindset shift, I believe. You know, and for me and for many women that I speak to, it's one big thing is letting go of the hustle culture, that hustle culture that and in Sydney you see it in particular, but
Yeah,
it's everywhere, because if you've got that mindset to
yeah,
be like that, that's what will
yeah,
happen. We're so conditioned to think that the more we do, the more successful we'll be. And oh, by the way, that leads to burnout. um and I think what
absolutely.
we're saying here is it's okay to slow down and take things at your own pace.
Yes.
And at the same time, while we're at it, why not embrace perfection? Because embracing perfection, I think, is the key here. We don't need to do everything perfectly. Yeah.
No, that's right. We don't need to do everything perfectly. And we need to, like I said, I think it's, putting those things into your day, something that you can do for yourself as well.
Mm,
And I think trying to not be projecting all the time into, like, and I think that's another big problem that creates overwhelm, is that you have that big list of things in your head. So maybe you need to write those things down and prioritize those things rather than,
Yes.
sometimes we just run around with all those things in our head rather than actually having a plan of how we're going to execute those things that we've got in our head, and
Yeah.
whether it's even possible to do that. So maybe it really comes back to good planning, doesn't it? Which I think takes time, and people are often missing that step because they're just so busy.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's getting it out of your head as well, like you said,
Yeah,
writing it
that's
down.
right. Yeah.
And honestly, if people, do that, whether it's journaling or whether it's a to-do list or whatever it happens to be, out of your head just clears your head a little bit more, a little bit more. But one of my favorite things that I like to do, and I call it the power of the pause. I just take a few minutes throughout the day to breathe deeply,
Yes.
meditate or
Yep.
just practice
Be in the moment.
mindfulness because
Yes.
that can just totally
Yep.
reset your
Changes
energy.
perspective. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the other thing is incorporating little short breaks
Yep.
into your day,
Yep.
into your
Yep.
routine
Walking
is
away.
essential. Step
Yep.
away from the computer,
Yep. Yep.
stretch, like
Yeah,
stretch,
exactly.
get some
Exactly.
fresh
Yeah,
air.
yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
right. And I think what people need to do to make that happen is to actually use that phone and put a little reminder in that phone, because that's the biggest issue is like people sit down doing work at their computer or whatever, and then they don't take those breaks. They don't take, eat properly. They don't take their supplements or whatever the things are going to be that are really going to help them. So, what is it you need to do? Put a sticky note on your computer or,
Mm.
something to make sure that you're actually doing those things.
Yeah. I think it's like keys, not keys, cues. Cues. It's like when,
Yes.
you need to drink, you'll have a water bottle next to you to a cue for you to start, drink a bit more. If you need to get away from your computer, I mean, a lot of people move away from the computer when they got to go to the bathroom, but that could be a few hours and that's not enough. So, like you said, a post-it note. I find sometimes having a little timer on your phone or a little
Yeah,
ping
that's
message,
right.
that just sort of
Yeah.
says, time to do
Reminder,
something else.
timer. Yeah. Yeah,
Reminder, that was what I
exactly.
was thinking of. I couldn't think
Yeah.
of the word. Thank
One of
you.
those, yeah, reminders. Yeah, that's what I tell my patients to do is like if they can't do what they're supposed to be doing, some of them even have the water bottle there and they still don't drink it. So
They should actually.
they still don't drink it. So that's where I think, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I've been guilty of that. I
Yes.
know, but at least it's a reminder because if it's not there, you don't you won't drink at all. At least I know if it's there, the water, or if I have a reminder, it's like a bit of a conditioning. It's sort of like a message that sends to your brain, hey, you got to do something. But the
Yeah,
other thing too is setting boundaries. That's a big one,
that's
and
huge.
learning that's huge. And I'll get you to talk about that a little bit more. But learning to say no. And
Yes.
I say learning to say
Yes.
no because
Yes.
it's very easy to say, and I know someone that does this a lot, that they say yes to everything because they're that person that
Mm,
likes to care, likes to do things. But I can see the person burning out and squeezing so much into the day that there is a breaking point, and you see it. And then they wonder why they're exhausted. What happens is that it's like a bit of a domino effect because then they don't eat properly, then they don't sleep well, and their health starts getting affected.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's most people these days that, that I see. It seems like the world is definitely more complicated and people are,
It feels that way. Yeah.
yeah, well, I don't know, but and people have got so many more dramas, but it's like when you get on the plane, what do they tell you to do if the oxygen drops out? Do you put it on your child first, the mask, or do you put it on yourself?
Yes,
And I
exactly.
think we just need to go back every day with these people to that basic thing. And that's how I live my life because I have constant demands. Like, I mean, yesterday, for instance, I'm trying to have a nice afternoon off because I'm doing my detox, to look
Yeah.
after me, and had a wonderful massage and I
Oh,
was feeling
lovely.
great. And then walking on the beach, like, just trying to do all the nice things for me and my boundaries, taking the afternoon off.
Yeah.
And then I get this message about a patient who's in hospital. So,
Yeah,
then what do you do? So it's
exactly.
that thing, yeah, that you want to help people. And I did respond to that because I could. But there is that thing that I try to craft in my day, that time for me, because I know that my job is very demanding. And, I can come up with these really complicated situations and have to really think on my feet.
Yes.
But yeah, but I make sure that I look after me first so that I have the reserves, so I have the resilience. And that's what, the boundaries are all about, as well as now I'm doing this detox because I feel that I need to do that because I moved, I've been through a cyclone, I just lost my grandmother. So I
Yeah,
need to
sorry to
go
hear that
through and
too. Yeah.
thank you, process those emotions and look after
Yes.
myself. So that's why I'm taking time out for myself this weekend rather than do other things to
Yeah.
focus on my detox. So those
Yeah.
are examples of boundaries.
Absolutely. And I think with the self-care, some people think it's an overindulgence, and it's not. It
No.
really isn't. You've got to carve out some time in the day. Um, you can still do a lot of things, and you can
Yes.
still have a lot of things on your plate. But if you take care of yourself, you'll actually manage it a lot better,
Yes.
and
And
you'll be
do,
in a
yeah,
much
yeah,
calmer state,
do a better
and
job.
you'll do a better job, and your head will be clearer for it. But
Yeah.
look, I just think that's so important. But other techniques I find are things like I use the 80-20 rule, time blocking, things
Yes.
like that can help you stay on track. Declutter your tasks. Okay, so you've mentioned it before, do a digital detox and
Yes.
focus on what's truly necessary. And
Yep.
then from there, and, as you mentioned earlier, finally, time management can help as well, too. So they're just some of the things that I think that I personally use and I find work really well. But our listeners and you yourself might find different ones that work for you. But whatever it is, it's calming the body down so that you're not in this, fight and flight type state. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So if you're doing like, breathing, mindfulness, oh, this fly will not go away.
I saw that fly.
And then also because we build up a lot of adrenaline, just getting that adrenaline out of our body. So we might now talk about some like support that we can give our body through nutrition,
Yeah.
through supplements. So obviously one of the big things that fuels Australian society is caffeine.
Yes,
How many
absolutely.
people, I mean, I'm not one of, I don't think you are either,
Oh,
Adriana.
no,
We
no,
don't
I'm not.
rely
No.
on caffeine to
Not
get
at all.
us started in the morning. Fortunately, we don't need to do that. But it is a big thing. And a lot of people, when they first come to me who are burnt out, they could be having like 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day. So what that is going to do is just completely, fry their poor adrenal glands. They're going to be all over the place. Do you think they're going to sleep at night?
No. It
No,
worsens the anxiety and fatigue. That's the
it
thing. And that's
does.
what people don't realize.
No, you
It
just
just
in
gives you a
this
quick spike.
loop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right. Exactly, exactly. So you want to really try to minimize the caffeine. If you really enjoy your coffee, have one organic coffee in the morning if you need to do that. And also, I guess not having too much regular tea is another factor. Maybe just having, green tea or your tea in the earlier part of the day just does have a bit of caffeine. It's also a diuretic.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that people often do when they're burnt out and tired is sugar and
Oh, good old sugar.
comfort eating. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
lucky. I'm not a comfort eater, so I'm very
Yes.
fortunate like that. But how many people, like probably 80% of people, when they're getting stressed
Right.
and burnt out, they reach for that sugar. So
Mm.
we want to be, trying to avoid that. And we want to be having, more whole foods, lots of like fresh fruit and vegetables. And, instead of just going for sugar, trying to look at protein type snacks as well. Protein is really important. You can make nice little, protein balls. You can have
You've
like
got some
an
great
egg.
recipes on your website
Yeah,
as well,
yeah, I've got
Terry. I've had those. Yeah.
lots of recipes. My healthy Anzac cookies, they're like
Yes.
really, really
They're
yummy.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so doing some things like that. Another cycle that people often get into is drinking alcohol as stress
Oh, yeah.
management
Yeah.
technique. And there's, a lot of people who, coming home and drinking, up to a bottle or more of wine. I've seen that quite a lot. And, that's not going to help you in the long term. I mean, you go to work, you get hungover, liver effects. There's so many, you know, negative effects of drinking too much. So
Absolutely.
instead of, I guess, going for the alcohol, we need to try and look at and also the sugars, non-food ways to actually deal with our stress issues. So that's why, you know, movement, yoga, Tai
Yes.
Chi. But, you know, some people, like one of my patients says what does it for her is she goes for a run and she puts music on and she sings really loudly.
Yeah.
So other
I,
people
I,
wait, you know?
well, I think that's so true. Like, I think if you've got something to replace something, if that's the way to say it, is because it's when I think people are sitting there either watching TV or they're bored or, like you said, comfort eating but if all of a sudden you've got something to replace that, like, oh, let me go for a walk, let me take my dog for a walk, I need to go to a yoga class or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Pilates, whatever. Yeah.
It's amazing how your mind you thought needed something doesn't actually need it at all. And the beautiful thing about it too is if you are going to have something and you really do feel something, look for something like you said, nutrient-dense foods, because they're going to fuel your body. Protein's going to help with the satiety, if that's the way you say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then looking at food like avocados, which is a healthy fat, and nuts, they're also great
Yep.
for, as you
That's
know,
right.
supporting brain function and
Walnuts,
keeping your energy, yeah,
good for the
keeping your energy
brain.
steady. Walnuts is amazing.
Yep.
So I think, you know, and don't forget hydration. I mean, water is key. I mean,
Yes.
I've had women
Yes. Very,
that
very
I've
important.
well, I've had women that I've coached, and we've talked about this before, but you know, they're finding it really hard to lose weight, and they're doing all the right things. And when you look at their hydration levels, it's very low. So that is a key thing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
look, maybe you can talk a little bit about, because I mean, apart from spring water, good quality water is a game changer. What if you want to go that extra mile, like you know, herbs like ashwagandha and
Yep.
rhodiola, all those, they're the supplements that I think that I would
Yep.
like you to talk about, because I think they're so important, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love my herbs, as you know.
Yes.
So I go through bucket loads of adrenal herbs for my patients.
Yes.
And there's some great formulas out there. Yeah. So um, what we have different classes. So if we're suffering burnout, we definitely need to have some nice supportive adrenal tonics.
Mm.
So those would be our ashwagandha, rhodiola, Siberian ginseng,
Because they're good for
American
stress, right?
ginseng, yeah,
They help with that for sure.
Schisandra.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, and if you've got and Bacopa, especially if you've got that, you know, your brain's all foggy and it's not working properly. So
Hmm.
those are some of the really good ones to support. Or Korean ginseng as well. Like so,
Yeah.
our ginsengs, they're all really good for supporting that stress aspect. Romania, licorice. But the other side that we have is we have people with a lot of anxiety. So if
Right.
we've got anxiety or depression, mood swings, then what we want to look at is herbs like St. John's wort, oats, which are beautiful and
Okay.
nourishing to the nervous system. Then we've got passion flower, skullcap. There's
Yeah.
so many that I use. Corridalis, Jamaican
There's
dogwood.
so many.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where the beauty, as you know, I love the liquid herbs. The liquid herbs, you can
Oh,
make
I
up a
love that.
specific prescription for people.
Mm.
And saffron too. Saffron is really good for the brain, but it's also good for anxiety. So yeah, there's so many wonderful herbs. And you know, some of them you can use you could get a lot of teas. There's some amazing teas. So you could switch some of those coffees for some tea that you
Yeah.
know, might find that you want to have. That's always a good thing to do. Then we also need to get our B vitamins, because we need our B vitamins for our adrenal glands, and also for we have this energy cycle, the Krebs cycle, and we need B vitamins to fuel that Krebs cycle. So
Right.
getting your B
Yeah.
vitamins, magnesium, an
Yes.
absolute
That's a
must,
must. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, because a lot of people aren't sleeping well at night. So, you know, taking some magnesium in the morning, but also at night, is a very good idea. There's also, I've been using an interesting magnesium with a combination of theanine and glycine, and that's
Okay.
really great just to calm down the nervous system. So you
Right.
can use that if you've got a tired, wired type of patient, you can use that really effectively. I really love that. And then you've got,
Does that work
yep,
sort of immediately, or is it over a period of time? Like
um,
when you're
they
drinking
can
the
work.
herb?
They can work pretty quickly. Like, I mean, I would give herbs to people often in within a few days that they're
You see the
noticing a
result? Yeah,
difference,
absolutely.
especially if it is kind of, I mean, burnout can be a longer term burnout, which is going to take longer for you to actually fix it overall. But if you've
Sure,
got someone who's got that anxiety, you can shift that pretty quickly with herbs. If
sure.
it's depression, it might take a little bit longer, depending on,
Yeah,
what the circumstances are. If someone's been stuck in it for a long time, then that will take a bit longer.
of
But if it's
course.
short
Yes.
term, then yeah, you're going to get over it a bit better. There's a lot of amazing mushroom extracts too, and they're really good for
Mm,
building up stamina and great for brain function. So there's lion's mane, reishi, chaga, shiitake. I use a lot of mushroom extracts. I take them myself every day as
yeah.
well.
So
Yeah,
do I. And I find that when I have stopped taking them, I notice a big difference to when I am taking them regularly and consistently. If you wanted to do like a before and after, you can very easily see, hey, don't take them, then take them, and it's like chalk and cheese. It's really different from when you are taking them, and I
yeah,
can't do without them now. I think I'm constantly asking you, can I have a refill? You know.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, we just expect that our bodies are going to keep going, but we're not even
Mm,
giving it the right fuel. So if you think
sure.
about someone whose diet is like 6 coffees a day, they're just having, toast or croissants for breakfast. They're having a sandwich, a burger, or some other thing for lunch, and then they might have a schnitzel and potatoes for dinner. They're not going to be getting the magnesium, the B vitamins, the things that they
No,
need to support themselves. So people say, oh, I don't need supplements. But unfortunately, in
you
today's
do.
society, for many reasons, the level of stress, but also the food is quite depleted
Mm,
of those key
absolutely.
nutrients. So I do think supplementations are a must. And I think omega-3 supplements in particular, so many people would be getting such minimal amounts of omega-3. And what's our brain made of?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fat.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we want to be getting, the coconut oils, the good quality fish oils, using things like flax seeds, hemp seeds, hemp protein, those kind of things to boost up those omega 3s. The walnuts we mentioned before are higher in those kind of things. So
yeah.
we really want to be getting enough fats. And I really think that probably only 20% of people are really getting the right amount of fats these days.
That's true, but I think a lot of people sort of, I really encourage people to see a practitioner about this, because you can't just go out and say, oh, I think I need more magnesium, or I think I need more of this. So, before, and this is what we recommend, before you add in any new herbs or supplements to your routine, just get some advice, get some personalized advice. That's
Yeah.
always a good idea.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
what you're saying now all makes sense, but a person's probably thinking, oh, do I need all of those? No, we have to find out what is going on
That's
with
right.
you, and then you'll get something more personalized. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people want to go a bit deeper, like I use flower essences and homeopathic remedies, which, actually give you that extra, it's a little bit more of an emotional, spiritual support. They're all made from flowers, and what they found is that a flower can negate a negative emotion in a human.
Oh,
So
is that
yeah.
right? Oh, I did not know
Yeah.
that.
So I
Okay.
use a lot of flower essences when people come
Amazing.
in when they're
Yeah.
they're burnt out and they just need that extra support, like, a nice little hug or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Lots of options.
Lots of options. So that being said, we've talked about strategies to reduce the overwhelm and find balance. Let's now focus on creating a personal balance plan. What should they be identifying? I think the first step is identifying the key areas where you're
Yeah.
feeling imbalanced, because is it your personal life? Is it your health? Is it your
Yeah.
work? And once you pinpointed those, it becomes a lot easier to address. So, an example would be if you're constantly stressed at work, and I see this with a lot of people, they're constantly stressed. They probably don't even know that they're stressed, but if looking in at them, you can see it. And so, identifying that maybe they need to carve out more boundaries or time for self-care. It's again, we reiterate the key here is not to try to do everything at once. Instead, set, just some small actionable goals that are realistic for your current lifestyle. That's the main thing. And that could be as simple as, because people think it's big changes. It's not. It's small
Yeah.
changes for lasting changes. It's just maybe take a 10-minute break every hour. So, let's break things down into more manageable steps, and that'll help you to build the momentum without feeling overwhelmed. That's a couple of things. Other things that you think, I mean, whether you've got someone accountable or a pastor or a
Yeah.
mentor,
Yeah, someone that you can actually be accountable to be able to
absolutely.
see that you're sticking to the boundaries and making changes. I mean, I really find that today's workplaces, and you can probably attest to this because you're still in that. I got out of
Yes.
that, so
Yeah.
I'm my own boss. But teachers, I find teachers are under so much stress
Oh,
and don't have
absolutely.
any real place to go. So,
Yeah.
it's taking like maybe sick days as mental health days, because, if you don't take those days and look after yourself, you will have a breakdown and then you're not going to be able to
Mhm.
work. So it can even to be to that extreme of what you need to think about.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that a lot of businesses and companies today are actually incorporating the mental health days and
Oh,
being
that's
able to,
good.
they're allocating days for you to do that. And I
Not
think they're
enough though.
recognized. No, no,
No,
it's
not
never enough. But the
not
fact
enough,
that they've
but not enough
started,
companies, because most of
no.
the people I talk to, they're not even in that situation. So,
Oh, wow. I'm
that's the
seeing a
thing.
change. I must admit, I'm seeing a change that it's happening. But you're right. It's probably, not enough companies as yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I just see there's a real crisis in people actually. They're really these like rats on a wheel every day, just enslaved to a system.
Yeah.
So it's like, what little things can I do? And I think that's where you probably need some help to work
Mm.
out how you can actually get out of it. So maybe one of the first things is get some help.
Absolutely. And, progress isn't linear. So
Yeah,
the idea
absolutely.
I say to
Yeah,
the idea I say to people is to remain flexible. Just tweak your plan when you need to.
yeah,
Just so,
that's right.
you
Yeah,
don't have to overhaul everything,
no,
just tweak it. And
yeah,
the key is consistency
yeah,
and being patient with yourself and being patient and don't, like you
kind,
said, be
kind to
patient,
yourself.
kind, and don't beat yourself up about it. Absolutely. Be kind to yourself, because you will see results and, those small improvements along the way are huge. They're absolutely huge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I agree.
Oh, okay. So that takes us to our takeaways for today. So I hope today's episode has given you some inspiration and practical tools to help you navigate overwhelm and invite more balance into your life. I think we've given you a few for you to think about. Remember, balance isn't about doing everything perfectly. It is about making choices that support your well-being in a sustainable way. If there's one thing I would like you to take away from this episode, and we've said it a couple of times already, it's this: small changes can lead to big transformations. Maybe that means setting a boundary, taking 5 minutes to breathe, or simply your schedule, whatever it is, start where you are. Do you have anything to add to that, Terry?
Yeah, I would just go back to we spoke about prioritizing yourself. So
Yeah.
that means instead of just filling up your schedules with appointments and chores, that fly, make sure you
Yeah.
do something
Loved you.
to nurture yourself, like regular exercise, relaxation, or, something indulgent like a massage.
Yes.
Um, so it'd be great if we could hear how people are implementing these ideas into their life. So you can connect with me on my Facebook or on my website, www.newage.net.au. And yeah, share your thoughts so we can keep the conversation going. And if you found the episode helpful, if you could take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need to hear this today. So your support helps us to reach more people who are looking for ways to live healthier and more balanced life. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Until then, take care and be kind to yourself. Bye, Terry. Bye, everyone. See you later.
Bye.